difficult when one is writing about the Holocaust or the Shoah. This sounds terrible, but it's a very pragmatic view for a writer to take. So much has been said about it already, and so much has been written, that it is very difficult to find anything new, that has not been said, or to find a new way to say it. And I guess A Song of Shadows is kind of unusual in that we really, apart from a bit of sleight of hand, we don't really see any victims in it. The book is purely concerned with these people who committed the crimes and the fact that they have created these alternative identities. And also that idea, and it's something that has been pursued in the Parker books before, are we defined only by the bad things that we do? Are there some crimes that are just unforgivable, that we have no right to expect that we will be forgiven for them? And I think what's difficult about trying people for the Holocaust is that we are trying to equate very elderly men and women with the young people that they were 50 years earlier. And that's incredibly difficult to do. If they were still young and wearing black outfits with skulls and crossbones on them, it would be very, very easy. But to see people who look like your grandparents, who are ill and who are frail, it brings out a kind of sympathy in us, which I think is misplaced. I find the idea of good and evil, it comes up quite naturally in the course of crime fiction, I suppose. My view is that very few people are evil. We all have a capacity for evil, but actually most people, when they do wrong, they do it out of selfishness or anger or fear. There are very few people who actually deliberately set out to do great wrong. Somebody once said that everybody has his reasons. Almost everybody can justify what they do. And that's what's so terrifying about it, that people can justify the most appalling actions and yet would never consider themselves evil. I don't have a great deal of interest in exploring the nature of very evil characters. What interests me quite often is what happens when good people encounter great evil, or when people who are just normal, who have regular frailties, encounter this. How are their lives altered afterwards? And Parker in the novels is kind of a complex man. He is not a knight in shining armor. He is morally compromised. He is prepared to make moral sacrifices. He believes, I think, that one can do a small evil to right a greater one. And I'm not sure that's true. I think it was Victor Hugo who said there are no small evils, that everything is incremental. And I think by doing what he does, Parker is sacrificing a little bit of himself every time, but is prepared to make that sacrifice. There is a very famous writer named Edmund Burke, and Edmund Burke once said that all that is necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to stand by and do nothing. And Parker is unwilling to stand by, because to stand by makes one complicit in whatever happens. But to intervene brings with it its own consequences for you as well.